Hey everybody, it's me, Tami Devine for Wave TV. Millions of women around the world protested the inauguration of Donald Trump as President of the United States. They wore, shall we say, kitty cat hats as a symbol of their protest. They felt like Trump was degrading women when he said in leaked audio before the elections that women often let him grab them by the private parts because he was famous. With me to discuss the march here in Los Angeles is Sharon Kyle. She's the publisher of LA Progressive. Sharon, how was the march for you?
Hi there, Tammy. It was an awesome experience. I mean, I was so surprised to see the turnout. My husband and I attended the event together, and we took public transportation. And when we arrived at our local train station, we actually had to wait about 2 hours to be able to board the train.
Wow.
Because more than 10 trains passed, they were full to capacity, and they were unable to take on more passengers.
Yeah, I've heard some huge numbers here in LA. Which was bigger? Was it DC or LA?
Well, people are arguing over that. I was only at the Los Angeles event, and it appeared to me that the number that's being quoted, 750,000, it seems like that's probably likely.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, first, when we arrived downtown, we looked up the hill at first. It looked like an ocean of humanity coming down the hill. I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
Okay, so let's go a little deep with this, Sharon. So one of the things that people were protesting in the beginning when those audio tapes leaked, this was many years ago of Donald Trump saying what he said, you know. The complaint was that it was vulgar and that it was, disgusting, that, that he would say this kind of thing. But then you saw some signs during the protests that were kind of saying the same things. And then the hats, were representative of, we all know what it is.
Yes.
So is there kind of a double standard there?
No, I think that some people reappropriated the term. What they decided to do was to intentionally take the term back and use it as a form of protest. And that's what I think we saw happen on that Saturday, where hundreds of thousands, some might even argue millions of women walked around with their pink pussycat hats on.
So some people said, there's children there and there's all these vulgar signs and, the whole thing. It didn't bother you with the kids being there and seeing that kind of stuff?
To be honest, there was such an ocean of humanity. We were almost packed in like sardines. I really didn't notice the signs. I mean, I saw someone had a t-shirt that said nasty woman, but no, there was not an overwhelming presence of vulgarity. Mm-hmm. That really wasn't something that even dawned on me.
Do you think these marches will make a difference?
I do. I think that if we look historically back in the history of the United States, anytime there's a massive showing, when the public makes their opinion known, it does have an impact on potential future legislation. For example, during the Occupy movement. Before the Occupy movement happened, economic issues weren't even being discussed, and it really changed the conversation in Washington. The March on Washington, Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech, well, that sort of laid the groundwork for legislation that changed, and we got civil rights legislation out of it. So yes, I think that there is a history that shows that when people come out in mass, there are changes.
So with President Donald Trump, it seems to a lot of people that he promised his supporters a whole bunch of things, and they believed him, and they voted him in. And now he's moving forward with all kinds of legislation, and well, not legislation just yet, because he just started, but executive orders and things like that. Do you think he's going to listen? I mean, to the other side that did not vote him in?
I don't know if he is, but thank goodness he's not the king, he's a president. And we do have a legislative body whose job is to enact legislation. So, we have the checks and balances that the framers of the Constitution designed to work in the ways that it does.
Is there concern about those checks and balances because the House is Republican, the President is Republican, the Senate is Republican, governorships, many governorships turned Republican, and now he's getting ready to work on the Supreme Court.
That's right, yes.
Do you have concern there because of all that?
I personally do have concern, and sure many people have concerns. But ultimately, I think that even with the House being Republican and the executive branch being Republican, I think that ultimately the people's will is what is going to inform the legislator. So we'll see how it works out. We've seen a lot of Republicans coming out and not necessarily walking in lockstep with what the president is proposing.
He does have a few detractors there on the Hill. Now, with these marches, I think they began with the National Action Network, or former National Action Network people, 2 women, I believe, with NAN, formerly with NAN.
Well,
right?
Actually, it actually started with a woman in Hawaii who started a Facebook page. And so it was very organic, and originally the intention really was not to be an anti-Trump march. Mm-hmm. It was a march about women uniting and standing together for women's rights.
But ultimately, I've heard some complaints from Black women saying that a lot of white women kind of co-opted this, and they were kind of upset about that.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, so the feminist movement, first wave feminist, second wave, third wave feminist, the whole feminist movement has been disproportionately white. And there's a movement underway for people of color to become much more engaged. I would say that the march on Saturday was also very white. However, many women of color are engaged, and we're having open discussions. As a matter of fact, I was invited to teach a class on post-Trump class on how women of color and white women can come together, form coalitions, and dismantle this racial divide.
So you're all about working together with them.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter about the color of their skin necessarily.
Absolutely.
Which is, I think ideally what, Dr. King and a lot of other civil rights leaders wanted in general anyway. What do you say to the Black women that are still upset about it?
Well, I think that all people that are interested in progressive change and interested in having a healthy government and healthy systems understand that it's going to take all of us united to make those changes. And the Black people in this country only represent 13% of the population. We have to form coalitions in order to make change.
What happens out of this? I mean, have you heard of any future steps? Is there going to be more marches? Is something new going to happen?
Well, there are a few different things going on right now. The ACLU has put out a 7-point plan to the average American to help them to understand how they need to make sure that their civil liberties and their civil rights are protected and what to do in the event that those rights are violated. There's a group of staffers who put out a guideline. It's called I think it's called the Indivisible Guideline, where they talk about ways that you can affect your legislators, contacting your legislators, helping to shape policy as just an average citizen. It's really about becoming more of a participatory democracy, which is what we've needed all along.
Sharon Kyle, thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate you coming and talking to us. You're our inaugural show for Wave TV, so thanks for doing that.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, that's it for now here on Wave TV. Many more segments to come. You'll find them all right now on wavenewspapers.com. I'm Tami Devine for Wave TV. See you next time.